Welcome to a deep dive that's, well, a bit different. Today is Saturday, April 12th, 2025, and we're jumping straight into the very latest AI news.
And what makes it different?
Well, here's the thing. This entire deep dive, the research, the script, basically everything was researched and generated entirely by AI.
Interesting. So we're sort of AI's mouthpiece today.
You could say that. Think of us as your AI-powered guides through today's biggest developments.
Okay. And looking at the news today, it's quite a mix, isn't it? It really touches on everything from social media fads
Right.
to how we use our computers, even questions about who's actually writing things, and some pretty wild science stuff.
Absolutely. It shows how fast AI is moving and in so many directions. So we've got 5 key stories lined up for today.
Okay, what are we covering?
First up, this viral trend of AI action dolls you might have seen, ChatGPT Barbie.
Ah, yes, those things.
Then we'll dig into Microsoft's new AI feature called Recall. Just went out to testers.
Heard about that one. Raises some eyebrows.
Definitely. After that, a really strange story about a philosopher who criticized Trump and Musk. Turns out he wasn't real, an AI experiment.
Wow, okay. Sounds intriguing.
Then something very practical. A guide on spotting deepfakes and AI tricks online seems pretty essential right now.
Extremely relevant. And the last one.
And finally, how scientists are using AI to understand brains by having mice watch action movies.
Mice watching Mad Max.
Seriously.
Apparently so. So let's start with these AI action dolls. What's the deal there?
Well, what's interesting is how it shows both how easy AI tools are to use now, but also, their limits.
Right. People are uploading photos.
Yeah, uploading pictures to tools like ChatGPT or Copilot and then giving prompts.
Like, make me look like an action hero. Give me a jetpack.
Exactly. Appearance, clothes, accessories, even the packaging, like a Barbie box, and the AI just generates an image.
So you get your own instant digital action figure. And they've gone viral, these ChatGPT Barbies. They really have. Individuals are sharing them, but brands, too. I saw Mario Badescu Royal Mail. They're jumping on the trend for promotions.
It taps into that fear of missing out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's just so easy to create something with AI now.
It does. Jasmine Enberg, an analyst at eMarketer, pointed this out, how AI is getting woven into everything online.
But she also warned about trend fatigue,
Yeah.
right? Like these things pop up and disappear so fast.
Yeah, that's a good point. And while it seems like harmless fun, there are some bigger issues underneath.
Like the environmental costs. I saw Professor Gina Neff mention that.
Exactly. The computing power needed for this generative AI, the data centers, it's a huge energy drain.
Someone compared it to using more electricity than, what, over 100 countries?
Something like that. And Lance Ulanoff at Tech Radar had that analogy. Creating an AI meme is like killing a tree.
Maybe a bit dramatic, but it makes you stop and think about the energy behind these clicks.
It really does. We need to consider the footprint as these things get more popular. The fun shouldn't totally overshadow the cost.
And it's not just the environment. Professor Neff also called it a triple threat.
To privacy, culture, and the environment.
Right, because where does the AI get its training data? Is it using copyrighted stuff without permission?
That opens up a whole can of worms about data ethics and intellectual property. Just because it's easy to generate doesn't mean the underlying data is ethically sourced.
Yeah. Joe Bromelo from MSL UK was asking if the quick fun outweighs these, potential long-term issues, calling for ethical guidelines.
And Boonshu emphasized transparency, respecting creative intent, especially when you're riffing on existing things like Barbie.
It's that classic tension, isn't it? AI makes creation easier for everyone, but it also potentially disrupts creative fields and norms.
Precisely.
Interestingly, Zoe Kleinman, the BBC tech editor, tried making these dolls herself.
And how did it go?
She found it actually took quite a while, and the results weren't always that great. Despite the hype, the resemblance wasn't always there.
So the reality might be a bit messier than the viral posts suggest?
Seems like it. So, wrapping up this doll trend, it's a mix, right? Fun, creative engagement on one side.
But serious worries about sustainability, data ethics, cultural impact on the other.
Yeah. It really pushes the need for using these AI tools responsibly.
Absolutely. Which brings us neatly to our next topic, Microsoft's Recall feature. This takes AI's role somewhere quite different.
Right. This just launched for Windows Insider testers today. They're calling it a near photographic memory for your PC.
So it just records everything on your screen.
Basically, yeah. It continuously captures snapshots of what you're doing.
And the idea is to create a searchable history, like a visual timeline.
Exactly. So you can find something you saw earlier without remembering the file name or website. You just describe what it looked like.
Okay, I can see the appeal. Like, where was that chart I saw last week with the blue bars?
Precisely. And they're tying it into their new Copilot PCs and the Copilot Assistant. You use natural language to search your visual past.
And it connects to the snipping tool.
Yeah, so you could potentially grab text or images from those old snapshots. On paper, it sounds super efficient for finding stuff.
It definitely points towards AI being much more embedded in the operating system, managing information for us. Fits Microsoft's bigger AI strategy.
But, and it's a big but, the privacy alarms went off immediately, didn't they?
Oh, absolutely. The thought of your computer constantly recording everything, that's bound to worry people. Sensitive info, passwords, messages.
It's a massive trade-off.
Yeah.
Convenience versus, well, constant surveillance by your own machine. The initial reaction was pretty strong.
So how did Microsoft respond? I heard they made some changes for the testing version.
They did. Crucially, it's now opt-in. You have to actively turn it on.
Okay, that's important.
Accessing the snapshots needs Windows, authentication, fingerprint, or face scan.
Right. Security layers.
And users can pause the snapshotting, delete snapshots, manage the history. Plus, they're stressing that all the processing and storage happens locally, on the device, not in the cloud.
Local storage is a key point. Trying to calm those privacy fears. Making it opt-in helps too.
But the core tension is still there, isn't it? Do you want this powerful AI memory aid enough to let your system record constantly?
It really crystallizes that whole debate about AI benefits versus privacy risks. People are clearly sensitive to this kind of monitoring.
And if recall actually catches on, it could really change how we use computers.
How so?
Well, maybe less focus on organizing files and folders yourself.
And more just relying on the AI to search through your visual history based on meaning or semantics.
Exactly. Remembering what something looked like, not where you put it.
That's a fundamental shift. But even with local storage, having that complete visual history all in one place.
It makes it a huge target for attackers, right?
Absolutely. If someone compromises your device or your account,
They could potentially see everything. Private messages, financial details, anything that was ever on your screen.
so the overall security of your PC becomes even more critical.
Yeah. So Recall offers some potentially cool ways to handle info, but wow, the privacy and security questions are massive. Lots to think about there.
It's a powerful concept, for sure, but forces us to face these fundamental questions about digital life in the AI age head-on.
Okay, moving from PC memory to philosophical trickery. This next story is wild. It's about Jianwei Xun.
The supposed Hong Kong philosopher, author of that book, Hypnocracy, critiquing Trump and Musk.
That's the one, except
Yeah.
he's not real.
Wait, what? Not real at all?
Nope, completely fictional. Created by an Italian publisher, Andrea Colamedici,
How?
using AI, Anthropic's Claude, and OpenAI's ChatGPT, apparently.
You're kidding. So the whole persona, the philosopher, the cultural analyst, the book about algorithmic modulation, controlling consciousness,
Yeah,
all in AI-assisted fabrication.
that's what's come out. Colamedici said his goal was to explore how power works today. So he invented Xun, gave him this backstory.
And used AI to help write the book, critiquing how figures like Musk and Trump use sort of utopian promises and repetition.
Exactly. But there were clues, apparently. Some inconsistencies in the biography.
Like what?
Mentioning Dublin University. A semiotics expert, Laura Ruggieri, looked into it and couldn't find any record of him in Hong Kong or Dublin.
Ah, so the cracks started showing.
Right. Her work, plus an investigative report, led to the reveal. Xun's website was even updated to admit it was an AI experiment.
And Colamedici's defense.
He claims the clues were deliberate, calls it ontological engineering, trying to make people think about reality and power.
Okay. But what's really striking is that the book, Hypnocracy, actually got attention, right?
Yeah, critical acclaim. Reportedly, even French President Macron appreciated it. It was discussed at the World AI Con Festival, translated into multiple languages.
A book essentially co-created with AI under a fake name, getting that kind of reception, that's something else.
It really is. But ethically, legally,
Yeah.
not disclosing it's AI.
That's the big question. It feels like it violates transparency, potentially misleads readers. Didn't the EU AI Act just flag failure to label AI content as a serious issue?
I think so. Colamedici argues the AI were just interlocutors, not the writer.
But that probably doesn't satisfy everyone worried about AI's role in fields like literature and philosophy.
Probably not. Still, the ideas in the book, this concept of hypnocracy, controlling people by shaping desires through media, That seemed to resonate.
Yeah, the critique of how certain figures build alternate realities through repetition and big promises, that message landed regardless of who or what wrote it.
So this whole Jianwei Xun case, it just completely blurs the lines between real and fake, human and AI creativity.
It definitely opens up weird new possibilities, but also huge ethical and legal questions about authenticity, transparency, accountability,
All right.
especially as AI gets more capable.
Absolutely. And speaking of telling real from fake,
Hmm.
that leads directly to our next piece, a guide for spotting AI trickery online.
Which feels incredibly necessary right now, given everything we've just discussed and things like those AI dolls.
Exactly. AI can create convincing text, images, videos so easily now. Being able to spot the fakes is becoming a basic digital survival skill.
It's not just about trends, it's about safety, right? Avoiding scams, not falling for misinformation or propaganda.
For sure. Fake pleas for help, phishing attempts, political manipulation. The potential is huge. So this guide, published today, aims to give people tools.
To empower them, basically. Encourage skepticism and verification. So what does it advise? For text, for example.
It says look beyond just grammar, because AI is good at that now. Look at the tone.
Like, does it sound robotic, too formal? Does it lack nuance?
Exactly. Also, excessive repetition of words or phrases. And critically,
Yeah.
always verify factual claims. AI makes stuff up those hallucinations.
Right, plausible but false. Okay, what about images?
Context is vital. If an image asks for urgent action, plays heavily on emotions, or comes from someone you know but seems out of character, verify it offline. Call them.
Makes sense. And visually.
Look closely. Check for weird distortions, objects blending strangely, inconsistent lighting or shadows.
And AI still struggles with certain things, right?
Yeah, the guide mentions hands, weird numbers of fingers, strange shapes. Also teeth, ears, facial symmetry sometimes look off.
What else? Unusual shininess, an airbrushed look, bizarre backgrounds.
All listed as potential red flags. And using reverse image search, Google Images, TinyEye is recommended to trace where an image came from.
Good practical tips. What about AI video and audio? Deepfakes.
Similar principles. Visually, look for unnatural movement, odd blinking, flickering lights, weird blurs,
And for audio?
choppy sentences, strange vocal pitch or rhythm, background noise that doesn't fit. Again, if it claims to be someone you know, verify directly.
So the guide kind of summarizes these checks.
Yeah, there's apparently a table covering text, images, video, audio, and just general content checks. Like, be wary if it triggers strong emotions, demands urgent action, seems too good or too bad to be true.
The core message seems to be stop, think, investigate.
Pretty much. And the fact we even need guys like this says a lot about how trust is eroding online, doesn't it?
It really does. It feels like a tech arms race. AI gets better at faking, we try to get better at detecting.
And the burden falls heavily on us, the users, to be constantly vigilant.
Critical thinking, verifying sources, they're more important than ever. This is the new digital literacy.
And the guide makes a good point. The real danger might be how these fakes exploit our psychology. Emotional manipulation, pressure tactics, tailored scams.
Yeah, it's not always about perfect technical realism. It's about pushing our buttons.
And while these specific tips, check the hands, listen for weird inflections, are useful now.
AI is improving so fast, those tells might disappear soon.
Exactly. So the underlying habits, critical thinking, checking sources, those are the skills that will last.
A crucial takeaway. Okay, on to our final story. Mice watching action movies. What's that about?
Right. It sounds bizarre, but it's serious research from Stanford University announced today.
What are they doing?
They've created an AI-powered digital twin of a mouse's visual cortex, the part of the brain that processes sight.
A digital copy of a part of the brain. How?
By training the AI on huge amounts of data, showing how neurons in real mice fired while they watched action movie clips.
Including Mad Max.
Seriously, they showed mice Mad Max. Why?
We'll get to why in a sec, but the result is pretty amazing. This AI model can apparently predict quite accurately how thousands of neurons in a real mouse brain will respond to new images or videos.
So it's not just mimicking, it's predicting activity.
Yeah. And more than that, the digital twin actually helped them understand how the neurons are wired together.
What do they find?
It seems neurons prefer to connect with other neurons that respond to similar things, like the same color or the same orientation of a line, rather than just connecting to neurons that are physically close by.
Interesting. Like attracts, like in terms of function, did they confirm that?
They did. They checked it against microscopic images of actual mouse brain tissue. The AI's prediction about wiring principles held up.
Wow. So the AI helped generate a testable hypothesis about brain structure.
Exactly. And the researchers are suggesting these digital brain twins could revolutionize neuroscience. How? By running virtual experiments.
Yeah, potentially countless experiments on the digital twin that would be slow or impossible in real brains, speeding up discovery, maybe even leading to models of more complex brains, like parts of the human brain eventually.
That's a huge potential leap. But back to the movies. Why Mad Max?
It wasn't random. Mice have relatively low-resolution vision, so they respond strongly to movement.
And action movies are full of dynamic movement.
Exactly. So films like Mad Max provided a really rich, constantly changing visual input that effectively stimulated the mouse visual system, kind of like their natural environment might.
Okay, that makes a strange kind of sense. It's still a weird image, though. Mice watching Fury Road for science.
Definitely an odd intersection of biology, AI, and pop culture, but it shows how creative scientists are getting with AI tools.
And it highlights AI moving beyond just data crunching in science, right? It's becoming a tool to build models, generate hypotheses, really push understanding.
For sure, it's not just replicating brain activity here. It helped them figure out why it works that way, uncovering wiring principles.
A powerful example of AI in scientific discovery.
Well, that wraps up our 5 stories. You've just had a deep dive into today's AI news Saturday, April 12th, 2025. And remember, AI itself researched and generated this whole dive.
We covered a lot of ground. Those AI dolls, the privacy implications of Microsoft recall.
The philosopher who wasn't real, how to spot deepfakes, and AI learning from mice watching movies. Quite the range.
It really shows how pervasive and fast-moving AI is. It's touching creativity, privacy, how we get information, even how we understand intelligence itself.
Definitely. So maybe a final thought to leave our listeners with. As AI weaves itself more tightly into our world, how is it changing your relationship with creativity, with privacy, with truth online? How do you think about intelligence, human or artificial?
It's a constantly shifting landscape, worth keeping an eye on and forming your own informed opinions.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this AI-powered deep dive. Keep exploring, keep questioning.